everyone, welcome back to another episode of Chatterbox Chronicles. So in this episode, we will be looking at our continuous assessment for task 1 under video presentation for the subject
TSLB3273, which is English Language Awareness.
I'm JAYSHRI
And I'm Yasha. So after this, we are going to be analysing a video that we chosen. Yeah.
So let's go!
Hello, welcome back guys. So we're going to start. So starting off, I want to say that, we're going to be talking about language soon, right? We're going to be analysing the video. So could you tell me a bit more what you understand by the definition of language?
So language is a structured system of communication that includes sounds, symbols, which is written or spoken, and rules as in a grammar used by a particular group of people for interaction and expression. So Yasha, do you know what are the key components of language?
Actually, I do. So actually, there are like 5 key components of language, which is phonology, talking about phonics, morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. So even we're on the topic of language now, the context of language is actually very important when you talk to someone.
Yeah.
So the definition of context is actually, context is the situation within which something exists or happens, and that can help explain it. It provides the necessary information to fully understand the situation or the intended meaning of something. It also means that people will know how to interpret what someone is saying from the situation that they are in or the conversation that they're in. Do you know any examples that will help me further understand the context?
Of course. So imagine you read the sentence, she can't wait to see him. So without context, you don't know who she or he is in the sentence. And you don't know why she is eager to see him. So now let's consider the sentence with the context. So the sentence is, after 2 years of long distance communication, Emma is finally flying to New York. She can't wait to see her brother who has been studying abroad. So in this context, you will understand that she refers to Emma and him is a brother. So the context reveals the reason for her excitement and adds depth to the statement.
I understand that. Okay.
So Yasha, after watching the video, how did you find it? Was it interesting?
Thanks for the question, Yashri. Actually, I found the video quite interesting because both of them are actually named this videos. But we listen to the video. One is an American person with a girl, and the other is a guy. So when they were talking, we could hear different slangs, the uses of colloquials, etc. So I found it quite informative that got to learn different things. So after listening to it, we both understand that context is very important, especially when even though you're both native speakers, but you both use different types of terms and etc. So what are the importance and think having context in languages?
So the first importance is that is the meaning and interpretation found. So what does it mean? So some words or phrases can have different meanings and also might not be understood by the other party as words are used differently and may be interpreted differently. So in the video, we have analysed some of the examples of meaning and interpretation. So the very first one will be about the gym girl situation, where the British guy talks about a gym girl that he found who was working out in the gym and talks about it to his wife, which is an American girl. And when he talks about the girl, it can be seen that the girl was very jealous because he was talking about his her body shape and how he was working out for so long. So her face immediately turned sour and she was just nodding her head while he was talking about the gym girl.
Yeah, that's true. So the other one is football and rugby. I think this was when they were talking about what they used to do during their pastime, right? So here I think we can see from what you said in the meaning and interpretation definition was that some words might not be understood by the other party because it's used differently. For example, football and rugby. Because in America they use both but for different things. Football there is actually used as for rugby, while soccer is for football. So here there was a bit of confusion, but because they're husband and wife, I presume that they both know what they're talking about. But if in other situations, if an American person would refer to football, it might be rugby, and a British person when says football, it will refer to soccer.
So there's both like a different kind of meanings.
Yeah, and what other things do you do? What other words did you find out?
So the other words that I found was kayak and sailboats. Kayak was mentioned by the American girl, and sailboats were mentioned by the British guy. And the next one is like babysitter and nanny. So babysitter was mentioned by the American girl, and nanny was mentioned by the British guy.
I think another thing was when the British man mentioned that it was boiling, which meant in American it was hot. The weather is boiling, but it actually meant that the weather is hot. And another thing was, I think, when he was talking about the jobs that he used to do, which was paper route, which was the people who throw the newspapers
in the houses.
So in the British guy said paper route,
and the American girl refers to it as paper round. So the next one is mailbox. So between the British and American slang, they both refer to mailbox as mailbox. There's no other different word for it. So the next one is milk crown and milkman, which refers to the guy who delivers milk bottles to each and every houses. So the milk crown was used by the American,
and then
the milkman was used by the British guy.
Yeah. And another thing was crate. They mentioned both the American and British refer to crate as crate. There's no different word for it. Another one is bike helmet and motorcycle helmet. So motorcycle helmet was used by the British guy, while bike helmet was is American.
Yeah, so the next one is golf cart and buggy. So while the guy talks about what he used to do in his free time, so he refers to when he goes for golfing, he goes on the golf cart or known as the buggy to travel to the golfing area. So the British guy refers to it as golf cart, and the American girl refers to the golfing cart as a buggy.
Yeah, I think so. And if I'm not mistaken. And another one is when they used to travel, the British guy said abroad. And I think in America they call it like overseas or going overseas.
Which means going
different countries, while the British say, oh, I'm going abroad. And then the other thing is time off and vacation. This was referred to when they're taking time off from a job, time off from something, which is also something like going abroad, but it's just in different terms. Taking time off and vacation. Vacation is American.
Yeah, and time off is vacation. So the next one is paid leave or paid days off. So this was mentioned by the American girl when she tells how she used to take paid leave when, let's say, she falls sick or she needs an emergency leave. So the leaves taken are known as paid leaves, and for the British guy, he refers to it as paid days off.
Yeah, and the last one that was quite prominent was cupcake, which was mentioned by American, and muffin is. So, based on all of this, another important context of language that we can actually see is tone and formality. That means the tone of someone's someone's speech, or the way that they're talking to you, and the formality that they're speaking, the setting, or the way that they refer to you.
Yeah. So let's say if you're in a classroom, probably your tone and formality within your classmates will be more relaxed, casual, and if the conversation is with the lecturer or teacher, it will be more respectful, and then because of the teacher status, you will be more polite.
Yeah, tone and formality actually also I feel like it involves who you're looking for as well.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we got from the video based on tone and formality is, personally I feel that the video seemed scripted because they were serious and one another.
Yeah, although they were husband and wife, they didn't seem like chill and relaxed. They were like so stressed, like everything was seemed scripted.
Yeah.
Like they planned everything before the video.
Because like they were husband and wife, but it seemed like they were meeting for the first time. It was quite awkward. But at the start and at the ending, it was cheerful.
In the midst of the video, it was very serious, and both of them were like driving.
And I guess sometimes we could tell that they were faking it, and it seemed because like some laughter.
Yeah, it was the fake laugh.
Yeah, and fake like, oh really? Because there's some things that as partners.
And then while the girl was talking, the husband was like, oh cool, nice.
Well, usually when you meet someone, like, oh really? What you would want to know.
We would ask like some follow-up questions to know more about the information whatsoever.
Oh, and talking about the guy, he was actually quite attentive to the girl. Like every time she spoke, he would just keep, although he replied dryly, he was very attentive. He listened
And he didn't interrupt in the midst like while she was talking. Like he was attentive throughout all the way while she was talking.
compared to the girl who continuously interrupted his speech.
Yeah, which I found was quite annoying.
Because he had to like stop every single time. But maybe there must be like another meaning. Maybe she wanted to carry the conversation so that he didn't like stop. But
And it also made the conversation seem more interesting if she asked like follow-up questions. Even going to the guy while the conversation seemed boring.
and just quite straightforward.
Yeah.
That these
Okay, so the next importance is that expectations and norms. So different social contexts have different expectations.
Yeah, actually I agree with that because I feel that because they grew up in different countries, that they had different experiences, and with that they get different expectations on certain things.
So the expectations and norms that we found from the video is that the first thing is about the dangerous movement where remember how I mentioned earlier in the video the rich guy used to deliver milk bottles as a part-time job. So this guy goes to the back of the van, and collect all the milk bottles so that he could deliver one by one. So it's actually dangerous to go back of the van because the milk van could hit him anytime.
Yeah, and like if there was a sudden stop, he would fall. But in expectation and norms here, you can see that for him, he didn't really find it dangerous.
But for the American girl, she was really concerned about his
Safety. Yeah, but for him it was just like a normal day at the milkman job. So another key thing for the expectations and norms is that Americans have less leaves compared to the British have more days off. So in the video we actually mentioned where the British people have about 4 weeks off from work, while Americans only actually have 10 days. So it's quite hard for Americans to take leave when their children are sick or when they themselves are sick compared to the British people who actually can go on vacations abroad, etc.
The Americans have lesser leaves because they have like public holidays in between, and the British don't have as much public holidays as the American does. So that's why the British holidays are longer compared to the Americans.
That's true. And another thing is that they were talking about sports, right? In the video. And one thing that, if I'm not mistaken, the girls said that American sports actually means more to them, like rugby or soccer,
And there'll be more supporters
compared to people, compared to British people who just take sports, mostly sports.
Yeah, it's nothing serious, and they don't get as much supporters. So the next one is that the girl mentioned that she used to work as a sailor, and she also took that as a recreational activity for her, while the guy was more stressed about it.
And I think you mentioned one part about him being a teacher in Spain, right? And he mentioned how stressful the job is. Well, actually, the American girl was also a teacher, but she enjoyed the job. But the British guy took it more seriously, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the next one is that Americans have higher pay and British has lower pay. So according to our statistics and findings, we have found that the median weekly earnings for full-time workers in the US was approximately $1,200 for men and $1,000 for women, reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So overall, US workers tend to earn higher wages compared to their UK counterparts, especially in high-paid sectors such as technology, finance, and engineering.
Oh really? I didn't know that. But there's one thing I know that. Did you know why UK salaries are low compared to the US?
Yeah, why is that?
Well, actually, it's because the UK has more protection for their employees compared to the counterparts in the US, and this is paid in the form of better social welfare. So better social welfare as in pensions, healthcare, holiday entitlement, national income disparity, cost of living. Like you said before, they have more holidays, so they have more holiday entitlement, more time to take off, and as a result, the employers can offer a lower wage as they can be confident that their workers will be able to afford the cost of living due to all these better social welfare pros that they have in Britain compared to America.
Yeah, I agree. So the next one is that Americans have longer summer holidays, therefore they have longer time to take part-time jobs compared to British. So the American girl was mentioning that how she had so many part-time jobs.
Yeah, I think so. And I think
She mentioned that she had about 30
I think that she did like babysitting, right? Yeah, she did babysitting for quite some time. She did babysitting from the age of 12, and which meant that they had. I think she mentioned that they had longer summer holidays. Therefore, compared to the British guy, she could sustain like having those babysitting jobs, as you said just now. As compared to the British guy, who was the one who said the 30 jobs.
So the next one is that Americans have longer summer holidays, therefore they have a longer time to take part in part-time jobs compared to the British. Where she mentioned in the video that the American girl had like a fixed part-time job for like 3-4 months compared to the British guy who had many part-time jobs but without a fixed timing. So he got to experience many kind of jobs such as being a milkman, a delivery guy, and then working as a teacher.
He was also a sailor, he mentioned.
And they get to have many experiences. He was as well compared to the British girl who also had experiences but not as much as the British guy, because the American girl
She had fixed jobs.
yeah, she had fixed jobs like for longer period of time compared to the British guy.
So I guess the expectation and norm here is that for Americans, it's expected for you to have longer summer holidays, but your jobs are fixed, compared to the expectation of British people where you have shorter summer holidays, but your jobs aren't fixed. So despite the shortage of holidays, you still can experience more different jobs. Like for this holiday, you can do this job, or another holiday, a different job, compared to like the American people. Probably each holiday would probably do the same job. Like for her, it was babysitting.
Yeah. I think I would prefer having many different kind of jobs while being on a short holiday compared to doing the same job for many months, because I think that would be more boring. Because if you do different jobs, you can get different skills, experience, also helpful for your jobs as well.
That's true. And I feel that I would rather have shorter holidays and getting to experience something like you said, because I know that in the future it might help me, those skills that I acquire would help me in the future. And I guess another thing is that I want to refer back to the dangerous milk ban part just now, where the expectation is that in Britain, it's not really dangerous because it's a common thing to do. Compared in
Americans, it's like something that's very dangerous. They're more concerned about the
safety of one's, safety of a person. Because you don't really see people going at the back of someone's van.
because it's not usual to do something like that. In the British, it's very common.
Yeah, exactly.
So moving on to the next one is power dynamics, which means that language can reflect and reinforce power structures. So let's say it's the same thing that the teacher and student are saying where because the teacher has a higher status, so the student would show more respect and be more polite to the teacher because of their status and would be more disciplined and then like obeying to their orders.
Exactly. I guess that when we talk about power dynamics, when it reflects and reinforces power structures, we kind of refer it back to formality and it kind of relates to each other. Where I guess when we're talking to someone of a higher rank, we don't really use like slangs or colloquials that we use when we are when we are talking to our friends. And power dynamics also can be instilled not only between people of high rank, but also like men and women. Like for example, your husband and wife.
Or it can be between the teacher and student, or between the parents, or they're having a conversation with an elderly person.
Or not only that, if you're talking about like college situation with your seniors as well, it doesn't really have to be like if that person is a doctor, you have to talk to them. It's like depends who it is. It could even be an elderly person who's working as a janitor. Yeah, you talk to them like in a there's the power dynamics in a respectful way. Yeah, because they're older than you. So I guess some of the power dynamics that we've acquired from this video was that because husband and wife, I feel like personally, I feel that the husband respects the wife more because as I mentioned earlier, he was very attentive to her and despite being dry, he's always so focused on what she had.
American girl actually interrupts the guy while he was explaining about his job and then cuts through the conversation. And compared to an Indian household where if there's a husband and wife, it would be the complete opposite where the wife obeys to the husband's order and would be a stay-at-home mom. They won't go to work.
They won't like
they will be fully devoted to their husband,
and whatever their husband says, they will follow. And it's I guess in the Indian culture, it's quite disrespectful to talk back to your husband. I mean, elderly people yes, but I mean husbands as well.
It's something that very
Strict in the Indian household because like we think that the guy is a provider of the house. We have to respect them in that way. While we saw in this video that it's the other way around, where the husband was the one who respects the wife, and
it's as Indians, it's quite like a culture shock for us because the way the British and American girl have the conversation, it's like very different compared to how an Indian wife and husband have their conversation.
Like when we watch our parents talk, it's like this American and British guy talk so differently compared to our parents at home. And I guess another power dynamic is experience versus the dangerous things that they've talked about. So here we can see that another side of power dynamics is that another side of power dynamics is that when we emphasize on something. So when she emphasized on her experience, she talked about it in a more powerful way, which we can also connect it to tone. She talked about it in a more deeper, more meaningful way. And when he was talking about the dangerous things that he did, he put a lot of emphasis on it. That for him, I guess it was exciting, but for her, it was dangerous. So when they were talking about these type of topics, there was a lot of, I guess, power dynamics there that we can see how she was concerned about him and how he was actually excited about it, and vice versa.
So the last power dynamics that we found in this video was the inside jokes that both the husband and wife made between each other, which cannot be understood by the audience watching, but between themselves.
It was like inside jokes that only they knew. I guess that made the video
a bit more interesting and funny as well. I think that's the only entertaining part of the video.
And I think for inside jokes, we don't really see when it comes to power dynamics of like higher rank people or people like we're talking to a higher rank, because usually inside jokes happen when we're talking to people with the same power dynamics as friends or your siblings compared to like us talking to a teacher. Like it's very rare. There's some, but it's very rare to see.
If you're very close with the teacher, then you may make the inside jokes. But I don't think anyone would make the inside joke with their teacher because it's not appropriate. And some of the inside jokes are very inappropriate, so it's very suitable to be used with your close ones.
Which, when we refer to as power dynamics, they are the same power dynamic as this.
next one. So the next one is about emotional tones. Did you see what I did there? It was so depressing and emotional and sad.
So you saw what we did there? That was emotional tone.
Yeah.
So that was categorized as sad, as you can see that we were crying and our tone was shaky. Yeah. So
while I was in this emotional tones, sorry, a supportive friend uses emotional tone while another might be critical and be more direct and harsh. So an example that can be found from the leader that ate our lives was that going back again, talking about the milk van. Remember how the girl was concerned about the guy's safety because he was going to the back of the van collecting the milk bottles. So that expressed an expression of concern, and she was very worried about his safety, whether he's going to get hurt or no.
And I feel that that part of we can categorize that emotional tone as someone who's concerned, scared, and maybe a bit, I wouldn't say harsh, but she was more towards caring, but in another sense also, I guess she put herself in that situation and she was very much concerned about his safety. So that was the emotional tone when she was describing the safety of his way. So the next one was, I think overall, the American girl was very chill, relaxed, laid back compared to him. I guess she was more, I guess not to say cheerful, but she wasn't stressed out. You can sense her tone was very relaxed.
And she was smiling from the
yeah.
And even in the YouTube comments, many people praised her saying that, oh, your voice is fine, you're
Calming.
yeah, it's very soothing, gives happiness, while some of them kind of like
Commented on his one.
yeah, like they say like, oh, why does he look so harsh, why does he look so upset, why does he look so stressed. Yeah, you can see that.
A lot of them praised her.
Compared to the guy, but he received much like backlash from the audience. So the next one is that when the guy talks about the movement while he did the part-time job, so he was like kind of reminiscing his memories back to his childhood. Then like, he seemed more happy to talk about his childhood
Compared to where he was now. I guess that can show the emotional tone that he was, like you said, reminiscing and going back into the past and reliving his happy moments. Not only him, but I feel like when she was talking about her sailing life, remember?
She seemed more happy about it.
She talked about how it was fun sailing and how she did it
As a
recreational activities. And I guess talking about childhood memories, not only for them but for us, everyone gets a little bit emotional when we talk about it. We get, caught up.
Yeah, because like a childhood memory is something that we can't get it now. We can only like think about it, only reminisce, and then how we get much up compared to now how stressed we are, then having to face the adulthood life
Compared to the stress-free life we had last time. And another thing that he talked about was when he was really stressed about the teenagers in Spain. How he talked about there was so many things he had to control, he had to put in order because of, I guess, the difference between teaching students in Britain, the UK, and in
I think it's
Spain.
because in Spain English is a foreign language, so he had to face many obstacles while teaching English for them because they didn't really understand the language.
There was a huge language
And
barrier.
they needed like much coaching for them to understand the language better. So he faced a lot of obstacles.
Personally, I feel that whatever he went through, I guess that's what caused him the stress. Not the teaching part, but the language barrier there between the native speaker and I think in Spain it's a foreign language, right? And for these kids, especially as teenagers, learning English might be quite hard for them to catch up. So there must be a lot of, like you said just now, a lot of obstacles that he had to go through to actually teach them fluent English.
So the next one is that while the American girl was talking about her work life, it seemed that she never really felt stressful and was relaxed throughout her whole working journey. She didn't need to take like constant breaks compared to the guy who felt very overwhelmed. Then he needed to take constant breaks because of how stressed he was because of the work. Maybe because it was hard, he didn't enjoy it. Compared to the girl who took her job as a recreational activity and a way to release her stress as well.
I agree with your point. And one of the examples that he actually said was when he was working as, if I'm not mistaken, something to do with IT. It's a desk job, and he constantly had to take breaks, to take tea breaks. Oh, that's another thing we can mention. That in Britain they have tea breaks, while in America they take coffee breaks. And she also mentioned that it's not really something to see in America where people take tea every 2 hours. That was quite funny.
Common for them. But it's very unusual.
While for the British people, it's uncommon for them to see people drinking coffee all the time.
While for us Malaysians, it's actually also unusual to take tea every 2 hours, but then we also have a standard timing of having a tea time at 4 o'clock, sharp 4 o'clock. We have to go for tea. It's like a daily need for us.
Yeah, and I guess here in Malaysia, most of us drink Milo.
But the teenagers drink Milo, and the elderly people, like for example my father, he drinks tea every single day. Like for his tea time, he needs tea. If not, he can't function.
And like for my mom, she has to have coffee. You know, she can't survive. I guess like in Malaysia, we are a mix of
Like
everything.
we have a routine already, like a fixed routine of like tea time, sharp at 4.
And other days, and for like from morning to like tea time is just for you to function.
Yeah.
It's breakfast, you take coffee. But tea time is a must. With your quick,
It's a necessity.
yeah, it's a necessity. Yes.
So that's the end of the importance. So next we will be moving on to the context.
A few minutes later.
Welcome back, guys. How was your break? So now we're going to be moving on to context.
So there's 3 different kinds of context in language. The first one is situational, cultural, and interpersonal. So we'll be looking at situational context first. So what is situational context means? So it refers to the specific circumstances, environment, or condition actually in which communication or an event occurs. It includes the physical setting, the relationships between people, the time, and the culture in which the communication takes place. So this context helps people to understand the meaning, tone, and the appropriateness of a message depending on the situation. So the situational context found in this video was how the conversation took place in the British guy's office room, so that maybe they could avoid distractions and then noise coming from outside.
For situational context, as you said before, a summarization of it is the place and the people that you're talking to, the situation, the whole environment of it.
Yeah.
So as you said just now, the place of where they took the video, the location where they took the video was located in, if I'm not mistaken, a recording room, where a studio in the British guy's office. He mentioned that it was his office.
So yeah, even us, we also like came to Starbucks to record this video because there's not much of a distraction here, because not many people come here compared to our hostel room where our friends will be walking here laughing, screaming. So that will disrupt the video and many noises can be heard. So in accordance to that, we had to record the video here.
And another thing is I feel that the ambience here is nice to be with. Like, to talk about certain things that
Aesthetic everywhere.
and it's better to like record in an open area where we can actually talk compared to like in a closed area. Like our room, where it's like very small, it's congested, we can't really talk freely,
And you feel like very uncomfortable. You know, our friends will suddenly come into the room and they will like disturb
or
us.
someone will start screaming from some other block, which will disrupt us as well. Yeah,
So hence we choose this place to record it.
that's why situational context is very important.
Yeah, I agree. So the next one is that I think it's important to choose a place like this for both the listener and audience so that the message and the information conveyed can be heard clearly, like without any distractions.
I agree. Especially mentioned in the video, the audience loved the fact that they could hear the American pronounced clearly, and that's important because when you want to convey a message to someone, the main thing that we learned from earlier language is to convey messages to someone clearly. So that's why situational context is important, because conveying the message from one person to another is important. It should be conveyed clearly.
And I think situational context is also important for personal sharings, like how they were sharing about their experiences and then they were realizing their childhood. I think that's something very personal and touching. So it's better to be discussed in a closed space compared to an open space where other people might overhear us and they might judge us. So yeah, so I think it would be more appropriate to be discussed in a closed space.
I agree. And talking about personal sharings, I think that when we talk about personal sharings or personal experiences to one person that we trust, or friend, family, etc., I don't think it's really appropriate to talk about this stuff in settings such as a family setting, public, or discussed with other people, as they might be judgmental. And some things that they wouldn't understand are like inside jokes. Like all of us can relate to how the people in the video had inside jokes that we didn't understand. So when they used inside jokes, it felt like we weren't included in the conversation, and maybe still left out. Like, oh, what are they laughing about? That we aren't. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
And for the quiet place, as you said just now, it's good for both the listener and the audience, especially those listening to us now. You can hear us clearer compared to, let's say, we were to record in like a market or at a concert. Conveying the message more clearer, we wouldn't have to shout, we wouldn't have to use extra energy to convey the message. It's just minimal, simple, and nice.
Yes, I agree, Asha. So, on some of the research that I've done, it shows that intimate conversations are generally more effective in quiet environments because people can focus more effectively on the conversation, and it's easier to process and retain the information. So, according to a study conducted by the University of California, it is found that background noise, especially at higher levels, can increase comprehension and memory retention by up to 30%. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is. And another thing I would like to add is that noise can increase stress levels. Can you imagine if someone is talking about something personal and their stress levels increase? I can't imagine that. So like
Even I would be stressed.
So a study actually done by the World Health Organization who indicated that prolonged exposure to noise raises cortisol level, leading to agitation and reduced communication effectiveness. In contrast, a quiet environment is associated with lower stress levels and greater emotional regulation. This is very important, especially for people who want to talk about their feelings. They can regulate them and talk about it freely compared to being in a stressful environment. They're already stressed. You want to put more stress on them.
And lastly, I also think that quiet environment is important to read and enhance the quality of the ability to read non-verbal communication cues such as like facial expressions and body language. So if you were to do this in a noisy place, I don't think it would be effective to read the body language of the person. Just really tough.
And you would be distracted. Like every time when someone wanted to share something, which
You'd be looking at like elsewhere, and so you won't be able to pay full attention to their body
you
language.
wouldn't be attentive. And I feel that's a bit rude. If someone is talking about their personal sharings, they wouldn't feel like, I'm important enough.
Yeah, they wouldn't feel included because you're distracted by other things.
I agree. So another thing is, if you talk about this, another thing besides situational context is cultural context. So cultural context actually refers to the belief, values, customs, behaviors, and social norms shared by a particular group or society that influence communication, interpretation, and interaction. It shapes how people perceive the world and use language based on their cultural backgrounds. Yeah, so I guess to summarize what is just said just now is that cultural context actually comes from where you come from and what type of, like I said, colloquial slangs, phrases, words that are different. Like, for example, if I'm from Sarawak, I use the word "nick" comes from slang.
Yeah. The slang and then the accent is quite different compared to the song. Yeah. So an example of the cultural context found from the video is that the seriousness between the husband and wife while they have the conversation and the way they look at each other it tells a lot actually. Like how the husband pays full attention to while the wife was talking and he didn't interrupt in the midst of the conversation compared to the girl she interrupted and then like she was asking more questions.
And I think that the way that they look at each other can be perceived as a form like, oh, he had more jobs than her compared to how she was, or maybe she had a higher ranking than him while they were dating, etc. So that's how they look at the way that they look at each other could be different because like in Indian community, we see like, oh, people who have a higher ranking job should be more respected. You know,
Yeah, like let's say doctors, engineers, lawyers.
and in a relationship, the man should be looked up higher. But maybe
And then the Indian parents, they always want their children to be like doctors or lawyers so that like, they can have a higher status in society and will be more respected.
and people will look up more to them compared to when we saw in the video. Despite what the wife was doing, the man still respected the wife because
He didn't look at the status or the job that she worked, like how she worked as a babysitter, a sailor. You know, if in the Indian community, if you mention the same thing, people might like look down at you because that's not a job that everyone would prefer to do and they would like look down. It's something that's unusual and
unusual in our community.
Yeah, but for the British Americans, it's something very normal and it's practiced really.
Exactly.
So they don't look at the status, how much you earn, or
They just look at you as a person.
yeah.
And the next and last context is interpersonal context. So here we want to talk about the part where you mentioned the co-worker part, where she mentioned that it was nice to have co-workers around her to share like information, to share.
You know, you're someone to talk to, and then someone to share your, your work stress with, compared to the guy who didn't have anyone to talk to in the place. So hence, he felt very stressed and then take constant breaks. So maybe that is why the girl didn't need to take more breaks because she had someone to talk to.
She had more co-workers in her work, and he also mentioned that she had seen her talking to other co-workers in their office.
And maybe because she's very friendly, so she's able to, get to know more people compared to the guy who seemed like very serious.
I think he was more introverted.
Yeah, maybe he was a loner.
Yeah, so I guess
That is all from the video that we have analyzed so far. So
I hope you enjoyed this video of us analyzing the video that we've chosen.
So thank you for watching and joining us on this episode of Chatterbox Chronicles. Thank you and see you again. See you.